Okay, incredible dilemma. Incredible is means impossible to believe, and dilemma is a situation which is a difficult choice between two or more alternatives, especially equally undesirable ones. And then together those words are they describe the situation that happens when a government forces you to choose the conditioning of one constitutional right against the forfeiture of another. And in 2026, it is difficult to spot these situations. Luckily for us, we know people like Liberty Troll who document and publish every single one of these ridiculous dilemmas that is brought on by government. And starting with this one here.
I made a video out of it a couple days later, so if you haven't, if you go to the second page, this is going to answer the question of why am I here if I was indeed officially trespassed the last time I was here on the 9th. It says on page 2, says appeal of trespass warning. A person to whom a trespass warning is issued under this section shall have the right to appeal as follows. And then subsection 2, it says the appeal shall be filed with the DeLand Police Department, and then it provides the address here.
Okay, so think about that now. He was at the police department where he was trespassed, and then in the note that he got, if he wants to appeal this trespass from the police department, then in order to assert those rights to appeal, he has to go back to the police department where he was trespassed and be on their property and be subject to arrest again. You know what I mean? So you get a letter saying that you can appeal this bad decision made by the cops, right? And to assert your equal treatment rights and your due process rights, you have the condition of showing up at the only place that you're not legally allowed to be. But there's another condition that if that's the only reason that you're there, then it's okay to be there. I.e., put down your camera and come in here and don't film, and then we'll accept it and we won't trespass you, and then you can have your hearing, right? So if you want your equal treatment and due process rights to be fulfilled and redeemed, then you have to give up your First Amendment right to film the process of you handing me the piece of paper that says you can do that.
During normal business hours. Well, we're here within hours of operation. And it says, in the event that the trespass warning issued prevents the recipient from entering the DeLand Police Department, for the sole purpose of filing the appeal shall not constitute a violation of such trespass warning. I printed this out just in case, but it clearly states on here that as long as I'm here to submit this paperwork for my trespass appeal to get the hearing set up as soon as possible, it says if I do that for this very sole purpose, I can come back here even though I'm trespassed. So,
and that right there is called a condition. On this condition, you can show up, right? And just on a side note, I know for a fact that whenever they do have this hearing, if there ever is going to be one of the questions is going to be, well, why were you filming? And he's going to say, well, because I film all my interactions with government. But if he goes into this trespass appeal like he just did, and they have footage of him going in there not filming, now he looks like a liar, right? So not only do they get what they want in that case, respect, but if they do have a court case on it, they can actually just call him a liar for following the rules that they've come up with. So either way, I mean, it's bad, you know what I mean?
The lobby, but it's going to be set up on the outside. I'm not even going to have my mic on inside. I'm not going to have a mic because there's no audio recording in there either.
So you see how this works now, right? They set the laws up in the specific way where you have to give up one right. Your right to audio and video record your interactions with police is given up so you can assert your other right to due process by returning in your appeal to the sketchy trespass that they gave you. You know what I'm saying? You see what's going on here? I mean, think about this. Land of the free, home of the brave, and you got a law-abiding citizen thinking about tactical ways to enter the police department and factoring in their ignorance on top of that, and then so he can go in there without being arrested, right? Like, think about how North Korea that is, or China that is, you know what I mean? They accepted his appeal, you know, he didn't get in trouble or whatever, and anyhow, here is him. They gave him the court date, and here's him showing up for that quote-unquote court date. What ends up happening is that they closed and locked the door, and then he goes to knock on it again, and then the lawyer tells him that they've already had the hearing, and he'll send him a transcript of it. So they had the hearing without him. But anyways, here is dramatic montage time.
It's just a table that everyone sits at. And we're literally like right next to each other or right across from each other. So let's go ahead and knock and make sure that we can hopefully go forward if they say no. Let me knock again. I don't think they heard it. I believe there's multiple law enforcement officers in here. For a second. Oh look, this is, that's the room right there we're going in. It's being recorded right now. You have Sergeant Santos, who's a traitor. He was the one that told me that I'd be placed in cuffs. Toast, who's a traitor. He was the one that told me that I'd be placed in cuffs if I didn't leave right away. I wasn't quick enough for him, apparently. I was walking backwards. Sorry about the shakiness, guys. These live streams, for some reason, the video shakes very easily. I believe that's the attorney, Elkind, I believe is his name, wearing the blazer. And it are going to be here as well. Just knocked again. Hey, New Zealand.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Are you Mr.
I'm Jack.
House last name?
Yes, sir. I'm going to be live streaming, okay?
Dun, 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 dun. Anyhow, this dude is an unethical slimeball. So anyway, here's the case that I'm talking about. Simons v. United States, 1968, the dilemma. A bank robbery suspect testified that a suitcase belonged to him to establish Fourth Amendment rights to challenge its seizure, but this testimony was then used against him, essentially forcing him to incriminate himself, Fifth Amendment, to protect his property rights. The scrotums, or the U.S. Supreme Court, found this situation unconstitutional, stating that it created an incredible dilemma where a defendant was compelled to give up one right against self-incrimination to exercise another, protection against unreasonable search. Principle: this case establishes that the government cannot condition the exercise of one constitutional right on the forfeiture of another. So anyway, it was just a little bit sus the way the attorney kind of invited him in, and which is why I played the video the way I did. I took out the audio and just put it in slow motion, his movements and mannerisms, because that in itself, that little interaction, was just another form of incredible dilemma that he put Liberty Troll in, right? And most of the time, people who do this is their only trick, right? So it made me think that he's the one behind this shit, right? With the whole ordinance thing and whatever, and he totally is. So yeah, once again, most people who do this kind of thing, leverage one constitutional right against another, are pieces of shits, and this is the only trick that they have, right? So I thought he had done this to other people, and turns out I was absolutely right. Let's just quickly look at the history of this resolution or ordinance or whatever you want to call it. It says here that, okay, first of all, when it says approved by, it has the city manager's name and then the date, which is, that's not even a place you put a date, right? What they're trying to do is create a history of it, like they did a reading or a public hearing on November when they didn't, right? But it says that it was previously adopted resolution number 24-31, which prohibits videotaping in the police department lobby, blah, 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 blah. But notice this is on December 1st, right? And the subject says first reading, right? So why did they already starting out sketchy? But remember, the it's 2024-31 is the number, or the whatever resolution number. So now they go here to ordinance 2025 dash and then nothing, right? So this is technically the first reading, right? But they're gonna try to call it an amended part, which I know. But anyways. Oh, you can read it there. Blah 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 blah. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And then it's funny how it quotes the sheets, or whatever, Rogue Nation. Anyway, here's the bottom of that document, right? So it says this day of whatever December 2025, right? And no signatures or nothing. It says passed on first reading, adopted on second reading. Well, no, it was passed and adopted on whatever day this is that they don't even say what it is, right? It's crazy. Okay, so if we go to this one, this is the agenda for December 1st, 2025. And if you scroll down, it says, eventually, that it's the first reading of the ordinance that's making it unlawful, whatever it says right here. First reading of ordinance codifying the city's existing videotaping policy in the code of ordinances. So it was the first reading. It's not the second reading like they said, the second reading and adopted. It was the first reading. They read it, adopted it. You know what I mean? They did it all in one. It's invalid. The way they did this, the procedure they used is invalid. Period. But anyhow, now they have another one then from 2026, which I'm going to show you. But I want you to see just how different it is compared to the first draft of the first draft that we have that we know of. But anyway, here's the current one, right? The 2026 one. Ordinance of the City Commission of DeLand, Florida, amending Chapter 21, Offenses of the Code of Ordinances of the City of DeLand by adopting a new Section 2112.3 to make it unlawful to videotape or audio tape in the police department lobby and by... Damn it! I really did that all in one breath. But anyways, police department and by providing for codification, servability, and effective date, whatever. But anyway, just take a look at this one. You see how this looks, right? The layout and everything, whereas and all that, and the ordinance number up at the top, 2020. This is just a different one, right? Now look at the one that they supposedly the official one that they passed or whatever, right here. Check this out. Now here's the no filming, no audio filming ordinance. Look at this. What the fuck, right? Way different. Business impact estimate, and then it has a bunch of other shit on here that's like just nothing. What a clown, dude. I changed my mind. This could be one of the best things ever. Look at the first box. It says the proposed ordinance is required for compliance with federal, state law, or regulation. It's literally telling you it has to comply with the Constitution. What a dipshit. This part right here just blows my effing mind. Like, the way they wrote this, like, just... Half of it makes no sense, half of it is based on farcical ideas, and the other half of it is just stupid words connecting the other stupid words. Like, let's start from the beginning here, okay? The purpose of the ordinance is to protect individuals. Stop right there. States impose no duty upon police officers to protect an individual. All right, only the public as a whole, right? Not an individual. Look, here we go. Imposes no duty upon the state to provide members of the general public with adequate protective services. That's individual members of the public. It's phrased as a limitation on the state's power to act, not as a guarantee of certain minimal levels of safety and security. While it forbids the state itself to deprive individuals of life, liberty, and property without due process of law, the language cannot fairly be read to impose an affirmative obligation on the state to ensure that those interests do not come to harm through other means. Basically, you can't hurt somebody while claiming to protect somebody else, which is exactly what you're doing. And you're not even doing that. You're doing it based on their information, not them physically. That's even worse and stupid. Okay, so we'll start over. The first part says there is no reason for a police officer to say that he is going to protect an individual who comes into the police department and may need to share their personal and sensitive information. What in the fuck kind of jumble shit is that? Riddle me this, policeman. Who would need to share their information in a police department, right? We have the Fourth Amendment, right? We're to be secure in our persons, houses, papers, and effects. The only purpose somebody would have with sharing information, it would be voluntary. Otherwise, they're under arrest. And if they're under arrest, then you take them somewhere else. They wouldn't be in the lobby, you know what I'm saying? So let's back the truck up a minute. It says may need to share, right? So we've established that you have no right or you have no reason to protect an individual, even though that's what it says you're going to do. And then it says that when they come into the police department, that they may need to share, meaning that they're not currently sharing their information. And then because of the personal information that is sensitive, right? So you're basing this ordinance off something that might happen that you have no duty to enforce, that isn't even happening at the moment, but could possibly happen, right? You see how stupid this is? Oh, and it gets even stupider because it says the purpose of this is for it to prevent information from being recorded. Doesn't say by who, it just says from being recorded or broadcast publicly. This is intended to prevent somebody from exercising their First Amendment rights. It says to prevent somebody from that information from being recorded. Okay, riddle me this, lawyer man. Why would you want to prohibit or prevent somebody's recording? That's not illegal. I can record all the information I want. I can record every bank account number that you guys have. I can record every social security number. It doesn't matter. The only phrase in here that might have a little bit of possible whatever is that to broadcast publicly, right? Because it would kind of be a fuck up to broadcast somebody's personal information publicly. But here's the thing. That's never happened before. So how can you make a law preventing something that's never even happened, right? Like you're basically saying you're making it happen by doing that. You know what I mean? Like you can't. It's already at 100% full. Efficiency, right? If it's never happened, there doesn't need to be a law regulating it because it's already 100% efficient because it hasn't happened. You know what I mean? Like this is retarded. All right, so let's reread this with all the knowledge that we have now. It reads, the purpose of this is to protect someone we have no duty to protect, that isn't even present, that may or may not have personal information that may or not have to be shared, and we also want to prevent the recording of that fake information that may be shown of the person that's not even there, for the person I don't even have to protect, from a worldwide display of this published information that's never actually happened before, from it being recorded, which is completely 100% legal to have that recorded. And also, we also want to protect the people in the lobby, more people that we have no individual duty to protect from being filmed in the lobby, which we have a door we can walk them through so they can be in a private place, and none of this can even occur in the lobby. But instead, we want to be able to stop that camera recording and trespass the person who we decide that person may be. What the fuck? P.S. I don't think the word sensitive information is a recognized term for information. I'm pretty sure it's only locating information and identifying information. So again, farcical. All jokes aside, this is a huge 14th Amendment violation, and it's specifically because of the incredible dilemma situation that they put everybody in. And I say everybody because every single person that walks through that door has a cell phone in their pocket that has a camera in it that they could be accused of recording. Literally, this ordinance or sign or whatever you want to call it means that every single person that walks in there is subject to arrest just by being there. And number two, I don't know if you ran this by your insurance company, but if there's no footage of anything and you get one of your police officers gets accused of something and there's no footage of it, you're fucked. Because whenever it ends up in a real courtroom in front of a real judge, the thing is anything that you say or that I say happened on that video, is they're going to have to take that as the truth. You know what I mean? If there's no video of it, then they're going to have to take what I say as the truth. So, again, this guy's a huge liability. He's a piece of shit. And he's also under contract and an employee of this city, but also he does something else with his free time, you could say. Right. Oh, whoa. I'm sorry. I didn't really be too clear about that. Everybody that walks in there is going to be a liability. And that's if the ordinance was written well and constructed well. With the bullshit way that he passed this as business reform, dude, they're going to blow holes in that in court, bro. And you know it. Oh, and now that that's come full circle, let's talk more about him and his endeavors and whatnot, okay? So, he also has his own private law firm, which he bills other cities for and is under contract with all the neighboring cities, and then sends memos to the city of DeLand and tells them, hey, you guys are getting off cheap. I'm charging these guys this much. I'm serious. Oh, and on top of the unethicacy of that dipshitical move that I just mentioned, he also is under contract with the city of DeLand, but also is a member of the mayor and council commissioner, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So he sits up there with the mayor and councilor, has his own name tag or whatever. He's a city employee and a contractor and contracted by the city. I'm not sure the actual legal implications of that, but efficacy-wise, that's fucking foul as fuck. Okay, so he was sitting in a chair position on an interim chair because somebody filling in a gap for somebody, and during that, he brought on the agenda consideration to hire his own law firm. That's what this is. And here is the absolute best part of all this shit. That's right. You're seeing that proper. You're seeing that correctly. It says, this dipshitical son of a bitch is also a special magistrate for the city of Sanford, Florida, in which he has the most, I've never seen this many code ordinance violations, and I think he's doing it behind people's back, because the way he gives the intro to this little session right here, it seems like it doesn't even, the way he makes it sound like he's not going to charge you shit and it doesn't even matter. This is what I was talking about earlier when I said, he had done this before, he did the Liberty Troll. Look, see, it says respondent was not present at the hearing. Respondent was not present at the hearing. He's used to having hearings where people aren't there, parties are not there. That's fucked up. But what's even more trippy is normally when I see a bunch of these violations like this, it's just some overzealous code enforcement guy. But whoever this is, they're evenly spaced. The code enforcement guy is not the problem. But it's weirder too because most of the time it's a resident or just a name. But there is a overwhelming number of businesses and LLCs that have these code ordinance violations. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm sure I will here in the next couple days. Respondent was not present at the hearing. There's so many of these, dude. So, anyways, let's hear one of these. You want to hear him? He sounds like a complete douchebag too, man. I'm sure this guy is a walking, talking douche in real life.
My name is Darren Elkind. I'm the special magistrate that will preside over these hearings this morning. If this is a new case, this is your first time here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask if you, one, understand what the city is alleging the violations to be, and if there has not already been some agreement, if you do not understand, we'll go from there. If you do understand, but you don't necessarily agree that the property is in violation, that's okay. What I will do is I will ask the appropriate staff members from the city to present evidence about the violation. You can then present evidence and ask questions, and I will make a determination as to whether or not your property is in violation of some code. That is the only issue I will determine, is whether it's in violation of a code or not. Simple as that. If it is in violation, we're going to give you some time to comply. The law requires that we give you some time to comply. We're going to discuss what's a reasonable amount of time. And sometimes I find the property's not in violation for whatever reason, so I may do that. There's no penalty. It's not like it's worse if you don't agree or you don't understand or you're not sure that the property's in violation. That's perfectly okay. It's not going to make a bit of difference in terms of what the fine would ultimately be or the amount of time you get. If, however, the property is in violation and it hasn't been brought into compliance by the time it gets ordered.
This slimeball has been talking for 2.5 minutes, and so far he said, it's okay if you don't agree with it. You can present evidence. The only issue I will make a decision on is if you're in violation. We're going to discuss and give you a penalty or give you plenty of time to comply. If you don't think you're in violation, that's perfectly okay. It's not going to make a bit of difference on my decision, right? These are the things that people are going to have in their head. And then he says, just real quickly, he says this.
Then I will impose a fine.
And then immediately follows it up by saying this.
And that is what the law requires. The mission of code enforcement process is just to get properties into compliance, not to collect money or to punish anyone.
So the last thing you hear after all those other shits that I read is the mission is not to collect money or punish anyone. It's to get properties into compliance, not to collect money or punish anyone, right? So add that to the list of things that I've already said. And is it no wonder why people don't show up? If you told me all that shit and then just mentioned and murmured to yourself, I will give you a fine, I'm not gonna show up the fuck up either. Anyway, I'm just trying to show his subliminal whatever, unethical, fuck this guy, dude. This guy's a piece of crap, dude. I hope you fucking destroy him in court.
So with that being said, I'm going to take the new cases first. And do you want me to start in order? I know we've got some we want the fire cases first. Okay. All right. First is docket number
452687559. And just one last thing here that I don't agree with is that they advertise themselves as people who represent people that are in these administrative hearings for their property or whatever the fuck it's for, right? Look, see, it says right here, check it out. Literally on their website for their own personal law firm, they advertise the land office of the city as one of the offices. Like, I don't agree with that whatsoever, but I don't know, dude. Just ethically, I just think that's crazy. But anyway, so for example, if you look right here, this is them saying that this is their website, their personal website, and it says that they're one of partners in a board certified county and local government law. Several of our lawyers serve as special magistrates and hearing officers in local government entities and have lectured the issues ranging from the planning process to public records and sunshine law. They're literally advertising their work as city employees and contract themselves to defend people who are in special magistrate code enforcement cases, which they preside over. These dudes are fucking shitbags, dude. Anyway, that's all I got. Peace. Dude, look at the goofy look this dude has on his face. I think it's because his boyfriend is squeezing his butt. Look. Stop grabbing my butt. It's not time for whack-a-mole ass. It's time for my serious face. I told you I didn't want to play whack-a-mole ass when they got the video cameras.